Good evening and welcome to the July 13, 2020 work session of the Mayor and City Council. Tonight we have one item up for discussion. It is our bulk trash collection program. And tech team, if you could bring up Deb Moran, Mark Scafidi, and Sean Sarandis from our Public Works Department to lead us in this discussion, that would be great. And as you guys come up and unmute yourselves, go right ahead and dig in.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Thank you for letting us present this topic tonight for discussion. Yep, could we go ahead to slide 1? So currently the City of Gaithersburg bulk collection occurs the first week of the month.
It looks like Mark's video is frozen.
Yeah.
Good. I thought it was me.
Yeah. So, Deb, do you want to take over for a minute?
Yeah, sure. I thought it was me again, so I didn't want to say anything and interrupt. But currently, the city's program bulk collection occurs on the first week of every month on the resident's first regular recycling day. Bulk collection is for white goods, which is the industry term for basically all your defunct appliances that don't actually have to be white. Anything that doesn't really fit in your recycling can, furniture, and then scrap metal. We don't accept things like hazardous waste, or which would include paints and oils, construction debris, paints, tires, things of that sort. I'm going to skip ahead.
It does look like we've got Mark back now.
Perfect.
Next slide. That's why we always have a backup. So the impact of the coronavirus, service was suspended in March and resumed in June of 2020. We did that with enhanced PPE requirements. So the employees that are out there that are collecting the items wear KN95 masks, full face shields, and thick rubber gloves to protect them from the virus. Next slide, please. So the bulk collection program, we pick up about 870 tons of bulk trash annually, 46 tons of white goods annually. 4,600 staff hours are spent on collecting items, canvassing 12,000 stops per month. So that's the number of households. Collection is made from 900 stops per month for bulk trash and 200 stops per month for white goods. Next slide, please. This is just the City of Gaithersburg, and it's how it's broken out into the recycling areas. As you could see, most areas have 2,000, 2,500, or close to 2,800 single-family homes in the throughout the city. Next slide, please. So in our program, switching to on-call or demand will provide an opportunity for more efficient use of times, fuel saving, because we'll only be running 1 truck and 1 trailer versus 4 trucks and trailers, reduced emissions, and a reduction in staff hours. Next slide, please. So some of the benefits is service every week allowed once per month. So instead of just in Monday's area, you only can get collection on the first Monday of the month. If you don't have any bulk pickup, you can schedule it on the second Monday or the third Monday or the fourth Monday of the month. So we are only allowing 1 collection per month, 12 times per year. But that's how it's going to work. So it's more timely, it's convenient, it's going to help with beautification, illegal dumping, and less confusion on holidays. So currently, right now, we have a large illegal dumping problem in the city. So people that don't live in the city of Gaithersburg, they know that if they're in Monday's area, if you go dump it along the side of the street in Gaithersburg, that we will pick it up. And also the less confusion on holidays is just like this past July 3rd, city offices were closed, so it moved to July 10th. So a lot of residents didn't know that. They put their bulk out on July 3rd. It was posted on the city's website and stuff like that, but just confusion. So they put it out, and then it sat out for the whole 4th of July weekend. Next slide, please. So this is some of our issues with illegal dumping. So this is not in front of anybody's house. This is just really right along where a city park is in Gaithersburg, and people have just used this as a dumping spot. So what they'll do is they'll visit there once a month and dump out a lot of items that we don't even collect in our bulk pickup program. As you can see, there's containers of hazardous materials, and there is trash bags that we don't collect. Next slide, please. This is another example. So trash bags aren't collected, and tires aren't collected, and cardboard's recycling, so it should be placed in the recycle bin. But what we see a lot of times is a resident is moving and they just toss the items out because they need to be out, and then it sits till their next bulk collection day or till the HOA can collect the items. So the on-demand service would help alleviate some of this. If you know you're moving out on July 15th, that very next week, you can schedule your bulk pickup or schedule it on the day of your moving day to get your items collected. Next slide, please. So proposed changes. So to increase efficiency and reduce unnecessary travel. So basically, we'll have 40 to 50 stops a day, every day, Monday through Friday. There'll be a two-man team that does it, and then they'll be able to travel directly to the house where the stops are, collect the items, and then they'll go on to the next one. So bulk will be collected every week from predetermined stops, managed utilizing our new asset management software. So we now have the Department of Public Works has a software system where we're going to work on a work order system. So what will happen is the resident will either call into Public Works and say, I would like my bulk collected on the next available Monday after in Monday's recycling area. And Deb and I have talked about in one of our meetings about maybe through Recycling Coach or on the city's website, just a one-stop, one-click button to be able to push where the resident can just enter their name, address, and items to be collected. So really something to try and keep it short, sweet, to the point, for easy use for the residents. Our proposed change is for implementing it on October of 2020. So on September, we'll probably go with like a little soft start where residents can, call in for it, but we're going to still canvass the whole area and collect the items. October, we would like to really make it where residents call in. But for the next couple of months, for the next probably 6 months, we will still go through the areas and collect the items up. We figure after a 6-month window, the residents should be in the routine of scheduling their bulk pickup. Next slide, please. So proposed changes, single-family homes, no changes, really. You just place the items out in your front yard, in the front of the city's right away in front of your yard. Really no change. In townhomes and 2/2s, the material will be placed in a designated spot. So our goal would be for maybe the resident's parking spot in front of the townhome, but we'll work with the HOAs. If there's not enough space to do that, we will make a designated spot in the townhome community where we will collect those items. Obviously, if the items are placed in front of your house, you're not going to let a lot of people illegally dump, in front of your house in your parking spot or on your front yard. So the idea is that we are collecting the items that we're supposed to be collecting, and not a bunch of illegally dumped items. Next slide, please. So the anticipated benefits is more convenient service for the residents versus monthly collection. So as I stated before, if you missed the first Monday, if you're in Monday's recycling area, you can schedule the next Monday. So it would be a lot more beneficial for staff, for the residents. Reduce staff manpower requirements. So approximately 4,160 staff hours. So nearly a 10% reduction over what we currently spend by sending out 4 trucks for 1 week of the month. More full-time staff available for core services. So during leaf removal season, mowing season, flower planting, we'll actually have more staff available to really keep the city in, in a much better looking shape. Obviously this year we're minus our seasonal employees. So having the extra staff to perform those tasks will help out, especially through fall leaf collection. So in the future, this is talking out as we're budgeting for replacement vehicles. We're thinking we probably could do with 1 less bulk pickup truck and trailer, which costs about $200,000. So we usually replace those on a 10-year cycle. So that'd be a little savings to the city's budget. We obviously would want to hold on to 2 and maybe possibly 3 trucks. So the 3rd truck might go to the landscape and forestry team to help pick up large wood and brush and debris, especially after storms. Next slide, please. So communication and the program change. So if the proposed changes were approved, the Department of Public Works would begin a community-wide messaging initiative so that residents would prepare for the upcoming program change. So the messaging would be done through the PIO office and the sustainability coordinator, utilizing social media, Recycle Coach, door hangers, the city's webpage, and we would reach out through Kevin Roman through neighborhood services to all the HOAs to make sure they're on board. They push all the information out to the residents, and that we make sure everybody's on the same page. Next slide, please. So these are the door hangers that we are proposing to put out on all the city residents' doors. So it has the Public Works phone number, tells you that you can get up to 12 pickups a year, so basically once per month. So the city residents will not be losing any service. They will be able to still get 1 pickup a month if they schedule it. For us, it'll be a good contact part with the resident when they call in, when they schedule it, because we can talk to them about items that they would like to place out at the curb, and it gives more information about contacting us and the items that we pick up. Next slide, please. So this is our proposed timeline, and obviously, it can move, but August, we really want to put out the door hangers, press releases, and really letting the residents know that this is something that we would like to work towards. So September, we would like to just start taking appointments. We'll see how that system works. We'll still go out and canvass all the areas though to make sure that there's not bulk pickup out there. If a resident calls and says they have bulk pickup, it'll be just like it is today. We'll still go out and collect it. October, we would like to try and work on by appointment only. But again, if the resident misses their day, if they, for a reason, we'll work with the residents all the way up, through January. So really a 6 months good trial period. Then January through March, for when everybody starts their spring cleanup, we're going to do another communication blitz, where we actually reach out to all the residents for doing their spring cleaning, that we will, that is call in. We would like them to schedule their bulk pickup. Next slide, please. So that's the end of the presentation. I am here, Deb is here to talk about Recycle Coach. Sean Serendes, our bulk pickup supervisor who manages the crew every day. We're all here to answer any questions you all might have.
Thank you very much, Mark, and thank you, Sean and Deb. Appreciate the presentation, appreciate the thought that you're putting into trying to get some more efficiencies in the program. The bulk pickup program is really popular. People really appreciate it, except in the very common circumstance in which their neighbors put it out on the wrong day. This happens in my neighborhood all the time, and my neighborhood's not unique. I hear about this is one of the common sort of complaints I get from residents about their neighbors. So the idea that we could still provide the service and also potentially reduce illegal dumping is very attractive, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it works. But when we get to the communications blitz, I anticipate that the council members and I will be very active in helping push this message out. Councilor Neal, go right ahead.
All right, thanks, Judd. So thanks for putting this program together. I think it's a great idea. For me, one of the benefits would be that if I forget to put my stuff out the first week of the month, I don't have to hang on to it for a whole other month, which is very common as well. So I think it's a great service. I think the challenge is going to be exactly how we do the communication blitz to make sure that everybody knows, because a change is always challenging. So the door hanger seems like a great idea as a way to start, but I know when we did the recycling door hanger last year, I guess it was, most of the people I talked to had no idea. So I'm interested in hearing either now or as we go forward what the plan is for the communications up front and the later communication blitz, because we're really going to need it. People are paying attention to 27 different things and not always us. So if you have any answers now on what you expect, or if we're still in the planning stages, that's fine. Just let me know.
Sure, so yep.
We're all excited to answer.
Just real quick. So, you know, with COVID and the coronavirus going on, so like if I will make myself available to actually go to HOA meetings and to talk to residents about it. If we ever get back to doing, you know, like council in the communities, maybe if we do that virtually, you know, I am all for going out and attending all, you know, evening meetings that we need to get this message out, because I really think it's going to be a great benefit for the residents of Gaithersburg, and it will also help out the Department of Public Works. Sorry, Deb, you can go ahead.
No, that's fine. I was actually going to point to Sean to talk a little bit about the signs that they were putting up, letting people know that bulk was canceled and how successful that had been.
Yeah, with COVID going on earlier this year, we had to get the message out through our video message boards in high traffic areas. And also we put out regular about 40 to 50 signs throughout the community, just trying to get the word out. And with this program, we've also thought about doing the exact same thing with putting signs out for a call-in service, but putting it at the entrance and exit of the majority of the neighborhoods to get the most coverage out there. It worked very well for the month, I believe, of May. You know, the first month of April was a little difficult with trying to get the word out, but the month of May, it seemed to work out very well with getting the message out about how bulk was canceled while we're trying to figure out how to handle with dealing with COVID. And we could do the same thing here with doing with a call-in service.
Let's go to Rob.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Mark, Sean, and Deb. Sean, on that point, I noticed those signs all over the city. So it was a great and effective means of communication.
Yes, thank you.
I support this. Anything that lowers costs and makes a service more efficient, I'm in favor of. I think Neil hit the nail on the head, though, that anytime you alter a long provided service, we need to explain why, and we need to explain to everybody that it's going on repeatedly, because people will expect a service that they've been receiving. Just one question, I guess. A side question is, do we have a illegal dumping problem here in the city, and how prevalent is it?
So we do. I mean, there's just roads around the city where we know that it's gonna happen. School Drive is a very, very bad road for illegal dumping. West Side Drive and on West Deer Park. So just the other day we had finished West Deer Park, and then the very next day we were off in another area doing bulk pickup. Somebody used a dump trailer and basically dumped out most of a construction project right onto the side of a city street. So we went there and we collected it because, you know, we are all for keeping Gaithersburg great and Gaithersburg looking beautiful, but it's those items. So I think if we have the call in, and, you know, then people aren't going to let people dump illegally in front of your house. So we think this will help curb it. Obviously, it's going to continue on for a little while, but I've already talked to Kevin Roman in Neighborhood Services, and we're going to work together on, you know, on tackling some of these hotspot items and, you know, taking care of it. And, you know, it might be sending the park observer down the road to take a look at it in the evening time, or, you know, maybe the city police, as they're patrolling around, if they see somebody throwing something off of their pickup truck on the side of the road, that they could at least call us and let us know with a tag number.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I would be in favor of trying to be proactive about deterring such things. I know our police department, for example, they set their patrols according to, one of the ways they set their patrols is according to reports. So do we make reports internally to the police department that, hey, there was dumping in this location, so that it factors into how they set their patrols?
Currently, we do not. And I would probably prefer to work with Kevin Roman first and the Park Observer. If we have a problem road, to have them swing by and just swing down that road, because there's a lot of city parks. There's 26 of them throughout the city. So they can venture down most city roads where the illegal dumping happens. Usually doesn't happen directly in the community. It happens to the feeder roads to the community.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, go right ahead.
Yeah, so I remember a few years ago, Kevin and his team came to us and asked for some remote cameras that would be used at various sites to try and catch some people illegally dumping. I don't know whatever happened with that, but I think it was going to be used in the parks as well. Maybe we ought to get an update on that. Thanks for the presentation. It's good, great idea. I agree. If we can save some money, this is good. It's we're introducing, I think we have to promote this as a new concierge service on behalf of the city. I think most people will appreciate that. So what happens once we implement this, if people put their bulk items out, but fail to notify staff or fail to notify the city that they're leaving something out for pickup? But they're doing it on the appropriate day. How is that going to be handled, Mark or Sean?
So early on, right, we'll probably just put we have these stickers for recycling. They're called OOP stickers. So we'll probably collect. What will happen is we'll collect it, especially through October, November, December. We'll probably put a OOP sticker out there, either on their mailbox or their front door, saying, hey, the city now has gone to a call-in program. You know, if you could, for next month's recycling, or not recycling, for bulk pickup, you could schedule, you know, a time for your bulk to be picked up. So we haven't developed that sticker yet, but we have developed a really good one for our recycling program. And it really has seemed to help the residents, you know, recycle right is what it's called. So. Okay.
So I guess one of the other things I wanted to, you kind of mentioned this, and I think it's pretty important to make this really easy. So a one-click item on the button on the home page of the city's website is probably one of the most efficient ways or one of the easiest things to do if for those people who use the web, the internet. I think that's great. In terms of notification, I think you might have to try the postcard angle to every residence, every address in the city at the beginning, but I think that's the main thing. I guess my biggest concern is how we continue to try and enforce illegal dumping. And once we catch somebody, I think we got to throw the book at them. So I don't know what limitations there are in terms of penalties or citations. Lynn, maybe you can help with that, but I think we got to hit some people hard for illegal dumping when they're caught.
Mark, go ahead, and then Lynn, if you have anything to add about citations.
Yep. So Kevin Roman does have some cameras, and we have spoken about using some cameras in those locations to try and catch the offenders that's doing the illegal dumping. Obviously, for the fine part of it, that would be for Lynn and Kevin. We just collect this stuff.
Sorry, I'm checking on the amount of the fines currently under the code. We do have the authority under the state law for municipal infractions of up to $1,000 per penalty. I'm just trying to, I don't off the top of my head remember what we have for this particular violation. So if you give me a minute, I will give you that amount.
Take your time. We'll go to Ryan while you're looking that up.
Yeah, while that's happening, I'll just make a couple quick comments. First, I generally agree with everything that's been said, that this makes a lot of sense in terms of saving money, saving personnel resources. Like any change, there's going to be transition, and people are going to have to get used to it, and there'll be maybe a couple people out there who grumble because they just don't like change. But at the end of the day, it makes a lot of sense. And in terms of the number and quality of pickups, you're still going to get the same number and quality of pickups, and there are additional benefits that have already been discussed, so I won't repeat that. But I will say I'm a little concerned about the notion that this is going to help reduce illegal dumping. I think maybe over the long term, once the entire community kind of normalizes the idea of on-demand bulk pickup, then yes, maybe. But if there are people out there who are just, flagrantly dumping on the side of the streets, they're not going to be the ones getting the message that we've moved to on-demand. So at least for several months, I think we're going to see, probably sort of ironically, maybe it's going to draw more attention to the fact that there's going to be these illegal dumping spots because we won't be having, community-wide pickup dates. So you'll notice these illegal dumpings more. But I guess the point that staff is trying to make is that eventually, once it becomes normalized, people coming from outside the community will know that there won't be pickups, every, same time every month, and then they won't dump. But I'm not entirely convinced that somebody who's willing to dump their garbage on the side of the road is suddenly going to say, well, I won't do it anymore because now I know the city's not picking them up regularly. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. I hope you guys are right. And I hope that the normalization over time, whether it's 6 months or a year after the program starts, will cause people to not want to do that anymore. But I don't know.
Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, so Kevin Roman just sent me a text. He said 500 on the fine. And Ryan, that's exactly what we're thinking. We will be able to find out where these hot spots are and where the illegal dump sites are, because they aren't calling them in. So then that will tip us where to actually put the cameras to find out. Right now, we just it's behind a resident's house that's on School Drive. Maybe they walked it out of the backside of their house instead of the front side and tossed it on the road. So by knowing our stops and our location, we can focus our attention on finding the illegal dump sites.
Fair point. Good point, Mark.
Thank you.
Lorianne, I haven't seen you raise your hand, but I would just want to put it out there in case you want to say something here.
Yes, well, I raised my hand earlier, but I think my colleagues have already shared most of my feedback, that the presentation is great. I've seen some of the illegal dumpings, and so this is one way to address this. I hope it doesn't overburden staff with getting calls throughout the day from different locations across the city. So I'm curious to see how this will translate into efficiency for our staff and how it will reflect in the cleanliness of the community. So looking forward to hearing an update, hopefully maybe mid-year to the project, and hopefully we'll see some success and that will contribute to long-term cooperation with our residents. I don't know if I missed it, but was there part of the plan to include postcards in the mail as well about the changes in addition to the door hangers?
We originally talked about doing door hangers or just the door hangers, but based on feedback, it seems like maybe postcards would be just a more effective way to go and do one instead of the other, but we didn't plan on both.
Yeah, I would say just to ensure that it's getting into the house and people are actually looking at it. I always recognize the colored postcard that reminds me of when I'm supposed to renew the rabies or the licensing for the dogs. And so that might be helpful in drawing attention. Thank you.
Speaking of dogs.
I know.
So Dennis and Mark, it seems like we have widespread buy-in for this idea from the council. I'm assuming you guys feel guided.
We appreciate it. And we'll provide an update as we go along. So.
All right, and normally I would call for public comment, but we have nobody signed up for public comment. So there we are. Well done, guys. And unless anybody has further business, then I will note that the next regular meeting of the Mayor and City Council is next Monday, July 20th, 7:30 p.m. right here on Zoom, YouTube, wherever you're watching it. Until next time, I wasn't even ready to adjourn this meeting yet, but let's do great things, Gaithersburg. We are adjourned.